Hello to my loved ones. I just wanted to make a quick update video on how my mom's doing. I'm in North Carolina. I'm going to be here for the summer to be here and just to pour into my mother, spend time with her every day just to make sure that while she's at this facility, this rehab facility, that she is recovering and rehabbing appropriately. I waited for my son to be done with school so that I could be here every day, come lay eyes on her, come spend time with my mom, and just really make sure that she's being advocated for. I know, of course, I have family here, and they come, they visit her, they do her laundry, they come and check on her and make sure she's okay. But with her being my mom, and this is someone who I spend a lot of time with, and that I know her, and I know her mannerisms, I know, just the little things, the little details of her. It's just different when I'm here, from little things as far as her facial expressions. I know when she's uncomfortable. I know when she's happy. I know when she's content. So I'm just happy to be here with her. So I got here early June, and one of my main things that I wanted to do was to accompany her to an appointment. She was going to the wound care doctor at the local hospital here. And unfortunately, back in February, she ended up having to have a procedure called a debridement because she developed a bed sore on her tailbone area on her bottom. They had to go in and clean up the dead skin cells to make sure that it could properly heal. Unfortunately, with my mom not being able to care for herself in that way, she can't stand, she can't really move her body because of one side being paralyzed or partially paralyzed. She has to be moved from side to side. The fact that that wound grew to the size that it did pisses me off to no end. That means that while she's here at this rehab facility, they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing as far as making sure that my mom is being moved and repositioned and cared for when it's in her doctor's notes to be cared for in that way. It's very frustrating for them to have to cut out such a huge piece of her skin, like it's about this size, and it's in her tailbone area, and that's where when you're sitting like this, I'm sitting on that area right now. I'm putting pressure on that area right now. So my mom has to be moved from one side to the other. She can't put pressure on there or that wound will never heal. So it was very important that I accompany my mom to that appointment so that I could talk to the doctor and that he could give me some information on how she's going to recover from that. This particular wound doctor has never seen my mother. She's been to different wound appointments to see about what's going on with her, but this doctor in particular, it was his first time seeing her. Um, I really didn't appreciate how the appointment began. The nurses, they were on point. They made sure my mom was comfortable. They, lifted her bandages just to see how everything was looking and prepared, the doctor with the appropriate notes so that when he came in, he would know what was going on. Unfortunately, when he walked in, the first thing he does is greet my mom. And when he didn't get a response, he was like, "Oh, not talking to me today?" And I'm so confused because I'm pretty sure it says in my mother's charts that she's nonverbal. What do you mean? Of course, she's not going to immediately respond back to you. So I look at him like, yeah, she's nonverbal. He goes, oh, yeah, yeah, I knew that. And he pulls out his device and he starts to look through her chart. And then he's like, okay, aneurysm, blah, 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 and just kind of reading her chart. But I'm like, why didn't he do that before he came in here? Because he looks unprepared. I don't know. That just didn't sit well with me. I didn't like that at all. So I'm already feeling some kind of way that my mom has these wounds. And then the wound doctor comes in and he just has this like very flippant attitude towards this whole situation. So, you know, he goes to look at her wound, so she's moved so that they could access her bottom, but she also has a wound on her hip. Because she is being moved from one side to the other, her hips are starting to break down as well, the skin there. So, one for sure on her hip where it is bandaged and they have been treating it. This is all so frustrating. One hip is fine, the other hip has broken through and it's pink and there's a little white there because the skin is just breaking down. So that means that the facility is just keeping my mom on one side. So she's developed a wound on her hip. She has one on her tailbone, sacral wound. She has wounds on her ankles. You know, the bones on your ankles? She has wounds there because she's being laid on one side and it's just pressure applying and the skin is breaking down. So the doctor's looking at all of her wounds, and when he looks at everything, he inspects it, he's measuring, he's doing all these different things, and he's telling the nurse what to input into the system. And so he becomes very serious and says that, you know, he, in his professional opinion, believes that we should begin to look into palliative care and hospice care. Palliative care is like just basically getting medicine to keep you comfortable and pain free. And hospice, I think we know what that is. And as he's saying these things, I'm just like, well, what advice do you have as far as her healing from these wounds? And he's like, I don't think that she will heal from these wounds. And that's something that no one wants to hear about their loved one, that the wounds that they have developed in someone's care, under someone's care, very expensive care at that, saying that those wounds will not heal. And so I asked, I'm like, well, what can be done? Because I don't want to look into hospice care. Palliative care, cool. I want her to be comfortable. I want her to be pain free. But I want her to heal because I know that she can heal from these wounds. She's proven all of these other doctors wrong. She really has. She needs more protein in her diet and she needs to improve more cognitively. So that's all he had to say to me because I'm here for the summer and that's what we're going to do. I'm going to make sure that she has the protein in her diet that she needs. Even though she is being fed by a G tube, I know that she can eat. They, for some reason, stopped feeding her by mouth along with the G tube back in, I'd say, October, which is unfortunate, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to help with that whole process. So, when my mom first suffered from her brain aneurysm in February 2025, I was very intentional on helping her heal. I made sure that I catered to her five senses, making sure that, you know, whatever I could do to help with her hearing. So her hearing was fine. So I made sure I played music to kind of jog her memory just in case there were any issues. Because she's nonverbal, there was no way that I could, you know, figure out if she remembered things or not until much later. Like if I would leave the room and come back in, if her facial expressions change, like, oh, that's my daughter, you know? And I learned that she knows who I am. She knows who my son is. She knows my brother. She knows her sisters, you know, she knows her family. So, music, I'm playing all the things that she likes. I got playlists going. I got, for her vision, I'm playing music videos. I'm playing videos from her friends, people who would send me voice notes and videos of themselves talking to my mom. I play that for her. She would smile, her eyes would water, she would get pretty emotional. So I'm like, okay, cognitively, that's a great sign. I gave her massage for touch. I rubbed her body down with, for the smell, for her sense of smell, with body oils that just heightened her sense of smell, things that I know that she liked. I would bring candles in, even though I wasn't supposed to. I would do aromatherapy with humidifiers and diffusers, creams, whatever I could to make sure that she smells nice. And so for the last since when my mom was in the hospital, of course, she had tubes coming out of damn near every part of her body, from her brain, draining blood away from her brain, in her nose, down her throat. And so, because of the tubes in her throat, when they finally took those out, her tongue was so swollen. And I would ask the staff, like, what can we do about her tongue being swollen? They were like, oh, it's going to take some weeks. It's going to take some time for that to go down. But I'm like, how that this just looks so uncomfortable. And I didn't feel like they were doing anything because her tongue was out of her mouth, it was so swollen, it began to dry out. And so I'm like, are you guys gonna keep it moisturized? Like, what are you guys doing? And they were just like, all we can do is really just put water on it. And but every time I would walk into the room, it was like her tongue was drying out. So I was like, you know what? I don't know how I thought of it, but I was like, coconut oil. So I went and got coconut oil that was safe for her, and I put it on her tongue. And I remember her eyes just kind of like, whoa. And that was in March. She had the aneurysm in February. So she had not tasted anything since February. So when I put that coconut oil on her tongue, it was almost like she just woke up in a way. And I was just very happy that she had that reaction because I'm like, okay, I think we're doing well. Probably took 4 days for the swelling to completely go down. And I walked into the room and her tongue was in her mouth. I watched her tongue slowly shrink. And so I walked in the room one day and her mouth was closed. Her tongue was in her mouth. And I was like, thank God that I didn't just listen to the nurses when they said that there's nothing we can do but wait. Of course, I respect the nurses. I respect doctors. I know they have gone through so much education and training. However, I'm not the sit around and wait type. If there is something that I can do to help my mom recover, I'm going to do it. And every time that I've taken initiative, it's helped my mom out tremendously. So now we fast forward to today, 2026, summer 2026. And my goal is to help my mother improve cognitively and to help her wounds to heal. What I want from my mom is for her to be as comfortable as possible. I want her to know that she has people that truly care about her health, about her comfortability, and just her overall care. This is a very emotional experience. Every time I come to visit my mother, I don't know what the day is going to entail. Sometimes she's in a good mood, sometimes she's frustrated, sometimes she is just smiling and she just seems very content and comfortable. And other times she's just like, get me out of here. And I wish I could just pick my girl up and say, come on, we're going home. Unfortunately, I can't do that right now. So, another thing that I want to talk about with my mom and her healing and recovery is that today I decided that I'm no longer going to refer to my mother as nonverbal because she is trying to talk. She is definitely giving a shot at communicating with me verbally. So, what it is aphasia. She has global aphasia because of where the aneurysm happened in her brain. It damaged the part that deals with communication. I know that she understands me because she will follow commands. She didn't always follow commands though. So I know that cognitively she is getting better. She is getting better. So that's where I do have hope. These doctors said that she probably will never be able to communicate. She is communicating. When I got her settled in back into her room and me and my son were packing up for the night, I gave her a hug. I said, we'll be back tomorrow. And I told her what my plans were as far as what we're going to be doing over the summer. I told her, I said, the doctor said that you need more protein in your diet. So be prepared. I'm about to bring some food up in here and we're gonna be eating. I'm gonna make sure you get that protein because what they're giving you in the G tube in your stomach, it's not sufficient, unfortunately. So I let her know that. And then I leaned in, I gave her a hug, and I always give her a kiss on the forehead, each cheek, sometimes on the chin or the lips. And so I leaned in and I said, Mom, give me a kiss on the cheek. And she went, mwah. She made the sound and everything. She said, mwah. And I was like, oh my God. Because that was the first time that she's given me a kiss in all of this. It's the first time. And I stepped back because I was just so like overwhelmed with emotion. And of course, I burst into tears. And I was just like, oh my God, like I was so happy. And I'm crying. I'm literally boo hooing. And I looked at my mom and I was like, that made me so happy. And she just smiles and shakes her head and rolls her eyes, like, oh, you cry, baby. But it's like her doing that made me realize like she still has her sense of humor. She is well aware of the fact that she just did something that made me cry. And I'm just so happy that that she did that. So it's been very important that I show my mother that she still has autonomy. I ask her questions and I tell her, Mom, we have to get to a point where you are responding with yes and no. Like, of course, I want her to say it verbally, but a head nod or shaking her head will suffice. With the doctor saying that he doesn't believe that she's going to heal from all of this, I decided to just to go back to how everything was when she was in the hospital a year ago. So we're back to listening to music. We're back to giving massages. We're back to all of these things. And so when I say, all right, Mom, I'm going to put some music on. Do you want to listen to gospel? And she'll shake her head, yes. Or I'll ask her, do you want to watch something on YouTube? She'll go. If I did her, I gave her a pedicure. And I said, does that feel okay? She'll go. Yesterday, Prince asked her a question. He said, do you want me to fix your shirt? And she went, yeah. And I just laughed because I'm like, oh, just give it a little bit of time. We're going to be just fine. We're going to be A OK. I've only been here for 5 days. We are already making progress. When I began giving her food, I started with applesauce because I wanted her to have something sweet. And she ate the entire cup. I fed her the entire cup of applesauce. She loved it. I was also thinking, to myself, like, what can I do to give her protein? She has issues chewing right now and swallowing. So I have to make sure that it's something that she can easily eat, like an applesauce. And bone broth popped into my head when I was in the grocery store in the soup aisle. And I was like, she can't really have like a chicken noodle soup or something like that, but she can get a lot of protein from bone broth. Thankfully, I have friends of different backgrounds and cultures, and they led me to the right direction. So I went and picked up bone broth from a Asian restaurant, a Vietnamese restaurant, and got her some beef bone broth. I was gonna try to spoon feed her, but I just got a straw, dipped it in the straw, held it, and put it in her mouth, almost like a syringe in a way. And she enjoyed it very much. It had some onion, cilantro. It was kind of like a pho soup. And I gave her that, and she had quite a bit, and I was very happy for her. So my mother has been talking, and yes, she will say some things. I was on FaceTime with her a month ago. She was in the hospital. She had to get a blood transfusion. I said, all right, Mom, you're in the hospital. You got to get this blood transfusion. I want you to get some rest, and I'm going to talk to you in a little bit. And she went, what? Rest? Oh, I just busted out laughing because I'm like, because that's her humor. That's her sense of humor. Like, what? Rest? What else am I going to do? Like, duh. Like, Ain't like I can get up and go do something. So I was like, okay, she's saying words now, and she's, saying things in a way where it's like, a question mark at the end. I'm like, okay, we're getting somewhere with this whole speech. What she's been saying sounds like gibberish. Like she'll look at me and she'll raise her eyebrows and she'll, what she was saying was no, 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 no. That's what it sounds like. And then she'll say that and then she'll just go like this. And then she'll try it again. And I say, Mom, don't get frustrated. I just encourage her to continue trying. I'm like, we're going to get to a point where we're going to be communicating just fine. And there's going to be some times where you're frustrated, but I am patient and we're going to figure this out. And she just looks at me like, okay. I know my mom. I know her temperament. I know her attitude. I know how she is. She's not the most patient person. I am. That's my trait. So we are 5 days in, and we have like another 6 weeks to go. And we've already made a lot of progress. I see good things happening. I see my mother healing. I see my mother speaking. I see her responding. I see her hugging and smiling. She's already laughing. So her sense of humor is still there. Like she's good, and I know that she feels supported. We had so many family members who came over yesterday. My brother, my aunt, my cousins, me, Prince, her best friend. So we have people coming in and out and making sure that she feels supported. Because it's one thing, people, they check in with me, how's your mom doing? But coming and laying eyes on her, holding her hand, giving her hugs and kisses, like those are the things that help you to heal. I'm real big on oxytocin, and that's the love hormone, that's the bonding hormone. When you hug people, you get oxytocin. So I told my son, make sure that he hugs her, and he does. He searched and found that us as humans, we need about 10 hugs a day. We need to feel the love and support of our loved ones and people who care about us. And she's going to get plenty of that, because the next thing that I want to do for her is to get her up out of this facility and at home with me, where she can continue to flourish, continue to heal, continue to get better. My mother turned 60 this year, and I want her to enjoy her 60th birthday. That's the goal. The goal for everyone is to grow old. That's the whole point. That's why we're here. I turned 40 this year and I love it. Thank God. I know so many people that didn't make it this far. The goal is to get old. Health is wealth. That's why I take care of myself the way that I do. That's why I go walking and running every day. Even while I'm here visiting my mom, I go for my 3 mile walk and I go work out for an hour. If I'm not doing well, I can't take care of my mom. I can't be a good mom to my son. I can't be a good friend. So before I go inside, I just want to urge everyone, take care of yourselves. And while you're here taking care of yourself, be good to others. Like, really care for people. Have empathy. Empathy is not a weakness. Care about people. Try to put yourselves in other people's shoes. Everything ain't about you. We've become a very individualistic society, and it's so not us. That's not who we were created to be. We are supposed to take care of each other. We're supposed to care for one another. We're supposed to be a community. When you see people walking past you in the store or whatever, speak. Say hi. Give a smile. Just a little acknowledgement. Especially us Black folks. Like when we see each other outside, speak. How you doing? You know, we don't know one another anymore. You would be so surprised how cool your neighbors are. The people who work at Walmart or the different stores that you frequent every day. Say hi. Establish relationships with people. Care. Because you never know how these people can help you and how you can be helpful to someone else's life. It enhances your quality of life being a good person, being a healthy person as well, inside and out. All right, so that's the update on my mom. I'm about to go back in here and love on her until it's time to go, but we're doing okay. Thank you for everyone that's been checking in on me.